Hello, this is Lee Bradford with Creatively Yours Studio. I wanted to come to you live tonight with a really fun party. We have several things lined up for us that'll just make it a blast. So I'm thinking now, just thank you for joining me. And I also wanted to make sure to let you know to check in the comments if you're joining me live. Let me know too where you're from. So if you're not local here to me, where are you? So I wanted to let you know there are several things happening this evening and just wanted to give you a heads up on what to expect. We're going to have two very special projects that I'm going to create with you. Now, these special projects are available as make and takes. So, if you would like a make and take packet, it's so easy to get one. Just let me know if you'd like one. They are $10 and that includes your shipping. I cut and prep everything for you and mail it off to you. Or they're free if you place a $35 order. And I will make sure, I'm not sure if my camera is zoomed in properly or not. Are you seeing it all as clear as I hoped? I'm going to zoom in just a little more, just so to make the picture clearer. I gotta press the right buttons. Okay. Let's see. Can you read that okay? Anybody here online, please let me know if you can read that okay. It tells you here where the website is. It's www.creativelyyours.stampinup.net, and you can hit the shop now button if you'd like to place an order and get your free packet of make and takes. Also, I have a host code for July. So make sure that you use that host code so that you can get some of my Stampin' Rewards that I have. And my email is lee@creativelyyourstudio.com. So you can send me your address and, we can get all that taken care of for you. Now, I do have my prize wheel on tonight, and I'm hoping that we'll have some live participants, not just some replay watchers, because it's only when we're live that we get to spin the prize wheel. So I would love to get to do that tonight. Also, we have our mystery stamping, and if you saw the directions, they were pretty simple. There wasn't much to cut, and just you had to pick out a stamp set that coordinates really well with, what your ideas were for your paper. Had to take a drink there, sorry. Next, the other thing I wanted to make sure to let you know is that um, for some reason, July 6th was the day that Stampin' Up! Packed jumbo sized full of specials. So I just wanted to let you know I'll be sharing some of those with you throughout the evening so that you have a heads up. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and make up the email that lists everything that starts tomorrow and all the details about it. So if you don't have a, memory that's just perfect, you can go back there and check the details that are on that email. Now, if you're not on my email list, please be sure to either send me an email with your email or comment below with what your email is. If you just want to order one of the make and take packets, just comment below with your PayPal email and your zip code so I know how to, get my shipping label. And I'll send that right out to you tomorrow. So, there's lots of good ways to communicate with me, and I'm hoping that this helps to give you an idea of, how to reach me best for what you're looking for. Now, I have a really packed night, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now, our first project highlights a brand new suite that came out in this new catalog, and it's called Stargazing. Now, I'm going to try to manipulate multiple things here, so I apologize if there's a little not so smoothness about it. Um, but I'm going to show you that suite, and that's on page 91 in this new catalog. Now, on that page, whoops, I jumped. Nope, I guess that's not it. Okay, I thought I had it. Okay, but it is right around here because I see. All right, let me check with the index. In the index, we have a lot of, it's listed in a couple different ways. You've got all your accessories and stuff in one index, and then all your stamp sets in another. So, Stargazing is what we're looking for. And let's see. Reach for the Stars is the name of the stamp set, and that's on page 87. I was close. 91 was close. I was in the right neighborhood. So here we go with the display in the catalog of what's in that suite. Somehow, here we go. I couldn't get the pages apart to save my life. All right, I'm going to back out a little bit on my Zoom so that you can see all of the things that are in this set. This suite has a really vibrant set of papers. Talk about bright and bold and wow. I love them. So the stamp set is called Reach for the Stars, and it has some really cute greetings on it. And there's a die set that comes with the stamp set in the bundle. So, and I'll be showing that to you when I open my case. You'll see it a lot bigger than this. But we do have this really awesome designer paper that we'll be working with tonight. And there's a pack of specialty designer paper. This is called a holographic designer paper, and it is a real wow. So you'll see that in action too. I'm using everything from the suite in our first project. So let's get to it. Okay, our first project, I'm going to be using a piece of designer series paper that is cut 5¼ by 12 inches. And what I'm doing is I'm making what's called a designer paper card. Now, it has a piece of cardstock on the back, and I chose a piece of 5½, actually 4¼ by 5½ of the Blackberry Bliss. It looks a little brighter on my screen than it actually is. It's a nice deep dark color. And so that is actually going to frame the back of my piece of designer paper. But before we do that, let's go ahead and fold it. Now I'm going to take my trimmer and we're going to give it some score lines. We're going to score it at, oops, excuse me a second here. My little card ran away. I just want to make sure I scored with the right lines. Oh, well, that's unusual. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I have it, though, in my head, because I did it a couple of times, and it was just delightful. Now, with this pack of paper, there's a set of planets in the pack that are also like highlighting the blues. So if you don't like the oranges and purples and you want to use the blues, that's great too. Works really well either way. Now, in the actual pack that I told you was the bundle, there are a series of circle dies that will cut any of these planets out for you individually. And they've got this really cool look to them, so you don't have to doctor them up at all. If you didn't want to have just a plain cutout of cardstock, you would be able to, cut any of these out with those dies, which is really lots of fun. Okay, so we're going to start at let's see, I think it's 10 inches. Yep, we're going to score. Now I'm going to move my cutting blade out of the way. I don't want to accidentally cut my paper. So we're going to do 10 and then 7 inches and then 4 inches. Now one thing you want to make sure that you are careful of when you are using the scorer on designer series paper is you don't want to get it too pressed down too hard, because if you do, you could chance ripping the paper. Okay, so that's all we need that for now. I'm going to go ahead and put this aside, and then next I'm going to go ahead and fold my designer series paper. Now I think I did it upside down, but it really doesn't matter because planets can go upside down or right side up or however they want to go. So you go ahead and start folding at the score lines, and voila, here is your accordion type card all folded for you. And I like to sharpen those score lines a little and make sure they're nice and creased well. So there we go. Okay, so now that we've got it folded, it'll fit very nicely on our piece of Blackberry Bliss. And what you want to do is kind of measure it up in your mind. I have a little piece here that I think is crooked. I'm going to just fix that real quick with, and I really love having the bone folder handy for this, because sometimes you don't mean to score crooked. You just, you know, didn't have it up against the base the way it needed to be. So this bone folder kind of is a little bully, and that bullies your paper a little bit to make sure that the creases are where they should be. And it's nice. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of my liquid glue and go around the edges with this. I give it a little notch for me to hold on to it and lay it down. And then let's go ahead and take a hold of it at the notch and line it up on my paper. Nice and even. Oh, I love that. That doesn't always happen. It's more often than not I have to do a little fixing, which is why I like using my liquid glue, because too many times I've gotten it just a little bit off center, and the liquid glue gives me a little time. Right now I'm actually fixing that it slid down just a touch when I last laid it down. So I'm going to go ahead and swirl it up just a little with that liquid glue being wet. Helps me out from keeping it, you know, from being fixable. Okay, there we go. Now as you've seen, we've got a really cool man here in our stamp set. He is just awesome. And there's so many kids that I know that really admire astronauts in a big way. So I was like so excited when we finally had a really cool astronaut stamp. Now I'm going to put this on I'm going to put my glasses on. So this is the E block, and that's what it takes to hold that guy. And I'm going to take out, now don't pay attention to the fact that this is not my Whisper White, because this is just to show you how to do it. I like to do some of my die cutting ahead of time when I know I'm going to be really under a time crunch. So, but I do want you to see that when you're inking up a really big stamp like this, you kind of want to march it across your pad just to make sure you've got it really nice and well inked. And you just check around, you know, flip it over and check around for any blank spots that didn't get inked, or any parts where ink is that could be a problem if you pressed it down and it would come out not part of the image as intended. Okay, so this guy, I tend to hold it for about 5 seconds. And look at that. Oh, he is a really cool dude. Now, I did do some of the magic of television and took advantage of being able to kind of set things up ahead of time so that some of my die cutting was out of the way. And so let me get that piece. Here he is, all cut out. And I did take him through the small Stampin' cut and emboss machine. So he didn't, you know, as long as you got a narrow piece of paper, that machine works great for it. And it's a nice, easy size to keep on your desk. When I'm using the big Stampin' Emboss machine, I'm not usually using it as much on my desk as I use it on the counter behind me. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. And this is our guy. He's going to go like right there. And what I like about this kind of a fold is it gives you different levels of card to play with. So I'm going to set that aside. And next we're going to, instead of just having it black behind him, I wanted to bring in a little bit of the designer paper showing off this berry burst. It just really brightens it up and makes it real easy. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Stampin' Seal Plus for attaching my designer paper. There we go. And I just cut this at, let's see, I did it at, well, I put the dimensions in the bottom so that this way I've got it written down, but that's the card that's missing. So let me go ahead and put this in the description of our video so that you can have the dimensions and I won't be misquotable. Okay, so now we're going to set this fella aside because there's some more piecey parts that I'd like to work on with you. Now, like I said, we have this beautiful, and I showed it to you in the catalog, but it's just stunning, this holographic paper. So let me show it to you real quick. As it's kind of a little bit different than when you see it in the catalog. I like it a lot when it's, you know, you see it's got all those different colors, but it's primarily the berry burst up here and the starry sky down here, but it'll give you some shade variances of all of that as it moves around on your project. Now there's also two other kinds that are really fun to use. I'm going to bring out a smaller piece of this because this is what I use for our project, and it gives you that same, it picks up different colors, but it's just mostly silver. And then there's one more sheet in here that is, oops, and I think I just got some glue on it. There must have been some on my finger. I don't like that. Let's see, let's get it. And so this is more like a solid, whereas this has kind of like some ribbing lines through it, shimmer streaks I would call them. And then this is a very flat, and again it'll pick up a rainbow of colors. So the holographic paper is just gorgeous. And I wanted to make sure that I have one of these. And let's see, we're going to use the second smallest, third smallest, the third smallest. Yep, that one's the one that fits in there. And so I wanted to have that of Berry Burst and this of in the shimmer, shimmer streaks. And so I did like the magic of television, like I said. I've got one that ran off, my silver one. Let's see. Where did it go? It's not in my, I guess we'll be cutting that again. Okay, well that's okay. That's the one I have paper out for. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get my little sweet thing here. Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we're going to go ahead and cut out the piece we need for making the ring around our planet. Now, this one has a little problem in her arm in that she likes to squeak. So we called her Pipsqueak. So now I have a little bit of, this is low tack masking tape. You can use washi tape or anything, post-it notes, anything like that to keep it real still while it's cutting. Will help you make sure you cut it where you want to. Now I always want to remind you, if you haven't stamped with me before or die cut with me before, I keep one of my cutting plates as used only for the top of cutting, because that way it helps me to get more wear and tear out of my tape, out of my cutting plate, because I can, as soon as it starts to bow like this, let me take that off, as soon as it starts to bow a little bit, then I flip this one over and get it nice and straight. So it'll give me a lot longer on my, and a couple times it accidentally got cut, but these are mostly in the impressions from the other side of the dies. And what happens is when you have a glimmery paper like this, okay, and you run it through and the cutting plate has a lot of scratches on it, it's going to ruin your paper. So it's a really good idea to just cut a small piece off if you have a tendency to use both of your cutting plates for cutting. Just a tip there for you, so you don't ruin this really pretty paper. Okay, so I'm going to take my paper snips and just snip off this piece. That goes back into my box. And then as I remove the little bit of adhesive, I can set that aside. And here's my beautiful set of rings. Now, there's also a piece that is on the inside that's a really slender oval. I don't throw those away because I never know what I could use that for. I don't know if you're like me, but I like to have my PC parts for later in case I have something useful for them. Okay, so this I'll set aside in my collectible box. And then I'm going to take a quick drink of water here. Oh, my son brought me a huge, tall glass of ice water so I wouldn't run out of voice while I was speaking to you tonight. Okay, now one of the stamps that I wanted to use, and I'm going to set this aside for now, but we will be using it again in a minute, is the greeting stamp from this, and it's just so adorable. It says, here it is, greetings, friend. What a cute little saying. So let me get out a block that'll work A little better for that. Yep, this is the right size. So this one is actually a C block. Now C and D will hold a lot of the stamps, um, because those are the medium sized blocks and they're really good to have handy. I usually have a couple of each just so that I'm not, scrambling to find one. So again, I'm going to take my Blackberry Bliss ink and I'm just going to stamp "Greetings, friend" really close to this edge on my piece. Now I'm not real happy with that inking. So glad we have two sides to our cardstock. I'm going to try to get it a little bit more solid. There we go. Yes, that looks a lot better. Okay, so on the back of our designer series paper, there's a whole list of all the colors that are found in those papers. So you can have a blast with that and just, mix and match what colors you like in your project. But it tells you right there for you. So you really don't have to be a designer. You can enjoy some of the prep that's done for you. Okay, so now I'm going to start setting up our card. I'm looking for the piece of white. You know what? Before we get all set up, let's see, since I'm not finding it right here when I dumped out my stuff, I'm going to just cut another little piece that will go on the inside because I do want to use that uh, in the Stampin' Cut and Die machine. So I'm going to take a little piece of Whisper White and cut it down to just the right size to fit in here, because this little spot is where I'm going to write my message. So let's take our ruler and double check it before I cut. Again, because my card isn't right here, I don't want to make any mistakes. So this piece is 3 inches, so we're going to cut it down to 2 3/4 inches. And the height is 5 1/4, so we're going to cut it down to 5. So um, we have 2. Let's start here with the 5-inch side, and then we're going down to 2 3/4. And down we go. Okay, that's the perfect size to fit in there. Okay, so I have a couple more things that we'd like to do with our Stampin' Cut and Emboss die machine. There's just a very adorable little set of stars that we'd like to put on that sentiment called "Greetings, friend." And let's see where my dies are. There they are. My die plates just wandered off. It's easy to do when you're trying to, pull things in and out so that it's going smoothly. And so far, so good. I'm thankful for that. Okay, so for this piece, I'm going to take this little die, and I've got it on a piece of masking tape just so that it's ready to roll. But this has 3 little stars, and that's going to go right next to our "Greetings, friend." Okay, so let me run that through real quick. And let's see, I'm going to keep the top plate kind of turned another way so that it's all staying in the same direction and fitting nice. And you'll always want to stagger your plates a little bit. My sandwich looks a little bit like an E. This part sticks out, this part on the top sticks out, but this part in the middle, let's see, I'm not seeing it, is drawn back a little bit. But that helps to be able to pull it into the machine. The machine is very tight. You will never need to put any um, shims on this machine in your sandwich to make it cut. It's very tight and will cut very good. So that's what I love about the ones that Stampin' Up. They really did a great job um, improving that. Now, as you can see on my little plate, there's 3 little stars. I'm going to save those because we'll need those for later. And those weren't actually what I was cutting out of here to use right now. What I was doing for right now, as you can see, was giving that, using that die cut to make it like we're using the negative for effect. Isn't that adorable? I love that. So next, I'm going to go ahead and use the small piece that we are using for our greetings, because this is a really cool set of bubbles, the air bubbles coming out of the mask. I don't know, they're cute, but they don't actually cut anything. These just leave that bubble impression, and I wanted to do that just to accent the bottom of our piece of that we're writing on. It just looks cool. So let me get my plate set up, and I've got a little piece of masking tape on this one, and then what I'm going to do is just kind of press it right where I want it on the bottom, and take it through pipsqueak one more time. I love this little thing. I guess with how much I use it, she deserves to complain a little bit. I'm sure if I took the little turn handle apart and gave it a little WD-40, it'd probably be happy, but I don't know. I like when my machines talk to me. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. I think we're all done with any die cutting. Yep, it's all done. Now it's time to put it together. Okay, isn't this cool? Okay, I'm going to take this off, and I can't wait to show you the effect it gives. Oops, I got a little bit of a rough spot there. I will have to repair with a little bit of glue. But I don't know if you can see that well enough. You see, there you go. You see that? How that's so cool. I love that little bubbles look. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, put this back, and we're going to assemble our card. And I know you're dying to see that, what it's going to look like. Okay, so first I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm just going to put a couple on the back of our astronaut. And take those little backings off, and I'm going to have him kind of just like that. Cool. Okay. Next, I'm going to take my holographic pieces, and I'm gonna glue them together. However, I'm gonna put the glue on the back side of this ring so I don't have to worry about any of it creeping up on there. So let's take some all-purpose glue just for the back, put a squirt, and now that I'll just scoot it down to where I want it. Nice. And I did make a little mess, got a little bit aggressive on that glue. So I'm going to take my little handy wipe here and remove that. And then I've got a little tissue over here. that I can use to dry up with. Keep our surface from being unwilling to hold paper. Okay. Next, let's see. Do we have anybody on yet? Nobody commenting. Um, I would love to know if anybody is actually live and watching now. Okay, so uh, as you can see, I'm going to have this as our greetings. I have a little extra here yet. I got to cut it off. That's going to go to about there. And then this is going to go to about there. So I'm going to take care of that little space right there with, I used the second to largest die and cut out some pumpkin pie. This is also a color that is found within our design. So I'm going to take some dimensionals and I'm going to put it on this side so that I can be careful not to have it overhang the next fold. So let's see, we'll go ahead and I want to make sure I've got it right where I want it. There we go. And see, we don't have any dimensionals showing on that side. And I'm going to put a dimensional right above my pumpkin pie planet so that I can adhere our pretty planet. There we go. And then, let's see, we'll go ahead and cut this off right down there. And yep, I think that's where I'm going to put it. Okay, so I'm going to add one dimensional on the side that I made a mistake. There we go. And then a little farther out, just so that it's on there nice and secure, but not all the way to the end because it's going to overhang my planet just a tiny bit. Okay, there we go. And then let's just have it. Let's go ahead and cut a little bit off the end. I don't want to hide my greeting. There we go. A little bit more. Now the gal that I saw, I tell you right now, I'll own up to it right away. I am not a designer. So the gal that taught me this was on a YouTube video, and so when I saw it, I fell in love with it, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So isn't that cool? And we have those um, the negative die cut pieces right there. Oh, how darling. Okay, so let's take our piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and give it just a little bit of a tiny, tiny, tiny dab of glue here where that tape ripped my paper. It's not, I'm not panicking because it's just a little opportunity to embellish with some glue. There we go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, so now I'm going to take, oh, the sentiment. I love this sentiment. It says, it's upside down. If I had a star for every time you brightened my day, I'd have an entire galaxy. Oh, I just love this. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on one of my D size. This one is actually from my paper pumpkin. It's a little shallower, so I'm going to have to be real careful not to get any on my nails or fingers and carry it over onto my project. But just do a real light tap, tap, tap. And as long as you hold it up on the side that does not get near the pad itself, you should be good. There we go. If I had a star for every time you brightened my day, I'd have an entire galaxy. Oh, just love that saying. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Anybody on yet? I want to do this prize wheel, so be sure to let me know right away if you're on there so that I can do that. So I told you before I wanted to use these little stars, and it's just because I thought they were just so doggone cute and hated the thought of, you know, not finding a place for them on here. Oh, I found my little one. Oh dear. Okay, well, I have that for next time. So I'm going to be using, they're kind of tiny and I want to be able to put them right where I want them. So I'm going to be using my take your pick tool, and I'm going to set them on top of the glue. So I'm going to put the glue on the paper where I want them. And my shadow, there we go, was not helping me do that. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to take, this is the putty end. And you have to be very careful when you're trying to get more out, because it's kind of like a tube of toothpaste. The putty comes out and it'll squirt out like all over the place and you can't do anything about it. So you can get refills for this. They come in 2 packs, and it makes it really nice and easy for you to be able to decorate um, with small things like sequins and tiny pieces of die cut like this. There we go. Now I got it right side up. Oh, well, so we're not going to worry about that one, that it's not right side up. But I'm just going to turn it a little bit and press it down so it's right where I wanted it. And then I have a nice small one that already is right side up. And that one goes there. And then this one goes up here. Kind of a little bit of glue. That was my new one that just opened, so it's like coming out all in a hurry, but it'll dry and it'll be fine. And I won't close the card on it for a little while, but this is where it'll sit. And then I have room here to write a little message. So I'm going to wait to put that in there. What do you think? So this is our first project, and everything that I have die cut for this, I will die cut for your make and take packet. So if you place a $35 order and you want to maybe get the stamp set because you like the greeting and the guy, the rest of the dies will be cut for you and very easy to apply. So it'll be a lot of fun to be able to make this card for a child, niece, nephew, grandchild, son or daughter. Somebody who's really into astronomy will really enjoy this. Okay, so that was number one. I'm gonna see if I can get my other camera to give me the opportunity to be able to talk to you while I'm looking at you, um, because I couldn't set it up before we got started. It was just too many variables. Okay, and it's trying to sag down, but let's see if we get, and then while I'm cleaning this up, I'll tell you about the specials. Let's see, I'll transition this one. Nope, we want it there. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add a layer. That's what we're doing. And we're gonna, let's see, where do I put it? Mobile device. There we go. I just have to wait for it to tell me it's going to connect. Okay, I've got to turn on the app on the phone. It just doesn't want to do it all by itself, I guess. Silly me. Okay, let's see. Must be in a different side of the universe. It got wiped off my screen somehow. And it must be on another side. Okay, so it's not letting me do that. Let me transition to this one and transition live to, let's see, the HD Pro Cam. There we go. Sorry this takes me a minute. It is just not my wiring to be able to do all these electronic stuff. But I am trying. So, and I'll come back, you know, 3 years, 2 years from now and trying to get this all set up. But I'm going to go ahead and do a search for Manicam. There, it came right up. Okay. Now, I'm going to go over to this one and make this one live with my mobile device. And here I can accept the request. Oh, great! Here I am, showing up. I don't know if you see me. Hey, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move that down. And just want to tell you about a couple of things while my hands are moving here. We have, like I said, July 6th, they just packed full of different specials. And I don't want you to miss them and miss out. So I want to make sure I explain them. Now, the biggest thing that starts tomorrow isn't going to end quick, but the thing that will end quickest is that for 2 days, anybody who is subscribed to Paper Pumpkin will have the opportunity to buy refills or past Paper Pumpkin kits for half price. So that starts tomorrow. Also, a wonderful thing that goes throughout the end of the month that starts tomorrow is called bonus days. Now, let me explain that to you. That's a little bit different than most of the other specials we have. With bonus days, you can purchase anytime in July your supplies, you know, extra adhesives that you'd like to keep on hand, or any kind of products that you would like to from the catalog, as well as from the clearance sale or Paper Pumpkin or the clearance rack. I think that's what I meant to say. Any of those areas, and even the ones that are online exclusives, they're included in this. So anytime you spend $50, you get a $5 coupon that you can spend in August. Now, what that means is that there's new product that's going to be released in August. A new catalog called our, what do we call that? Our winter mini catalog. And that will be released in August. And you have all the month of August to spend your reward coupons. Now, one thing to make sure you remember is that the coupons will come to your email, and you will have to keep track of them. That's going to be on you. We just, you know, want you to be aware that whatever you get in your email, you want to make sure that you know where it is. And I just pull them out and log them as I get them so that I don't lose track of it and have to go hunting. So anyways, that's one of the biggest sales. And having that extra $5 coupon is not limiting, like you can only use one for an order. You can use all of them if you want. You just can't exceed the amount of coupons can't exceed the amount of the order. They have to be, you know, just less than that. But it's a great way for you to get some of our newest product right away and at a deep discount. $5 off coupons go a long way. So I just wanted to tell you about that. And the next thing I wanted to mention, I'm going to have to look here on my jigger because it's slipping my mind. But, okay, so, oh, I did mention that the clearance rack will be opening up again. Now, this is called the clearance rack refresh. So when it's a refresh, you're going to get a whole bunch of options, new products that haven't ever been on the clearance rack, and they're going to be marked down anywhere from 90%, you know, could be 20%, could be 90%. So you just never know. And it all depends on how much extra they have of these products when they close down, you know, a different market that was no longer using them. So we have catalogs that are worldwide right now. So some of our markets still use um, many of the different products that are retired for us. And so we have to wait till they're all done with them before they will hit the clearance rack. And sometimes you miss out on things just because you didn't know it was available. And so this is your chance to catch any of that retired already and don't have to pay full price for it. So um, next project, I'm going to show you some really nice and sneak peeky kind of new products. So I am so excited to get rolling on that. Has anybody joined in? I don't see a comment yet, but if you have joined me live, please make sure to comment so that I can use my prize wheel. I really like it. And I think you will too. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to doing some of that with you. So please let me know. And if you comment, let me know where you're from if you're not from around here. So, okay, let's get rolling with our next project. Okay, so like I said before, our second project, I'm going to switch to the other camera. Let's see if I can. I'm sure I can do it because it's all set up on another. There we go. So nice. Well, that part I figured out. 10 million more parts to go. So on this next project, as you see, I'm going to be using a real red cardstock. This is featuring a stamp set and a die set that we used last season because, can you guess? Nobody can guess. I would like to do a little bit of Christmas in July. Now, Christmas in July, I'm going to sprinkle that throughout the entire month. And take a drink. And this stamp set I bought last season because I just absolutely loved it. And it was actually bundled with a set of dies that is just beautiful. So, like I said, in the make and take packet, I do all the die cutting that doesn't require any stamping first. And none of this project requires any stamping first. So, if you want to get this make and take packet for free, make sure that you go ahead to my little store and you can place a $35 order and you will get that $10 make and take packet mailed right out to you free. If you would just like to purchase the packet just because you want to play with things you have at home with these make and takes, that's great. I'd love it. So just let me know and I will go ahead and send that to you. It's $10. I do take PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle. So if you want to have me communicate with PayPal, just send me your email address and I will send you an invoice for the $10. So whichever way you want to do it, you can make these if you want to. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and show you these beautiful stamps and dies. Okay, it looks like a tornado in here, and that's because it is. I didn't, I kind of put it away quick because we had to get going on getting the camera set up. So here we go. I'm going to pull this last little, I've got 5 little tiny snowflakes and one large snowflake. And the one large snowflake I'll be using at the end, but I do have to clean out the little dots that are in there because it won't die cut very well if I don't. So, okay, so we have the Brightest Glow set, and these are all just really beautiful sayings. All is merry and bright is the one we'll use today. Now, I have a piece of cardstock that is our base, and it is cut 4.5, no, 4 1/4, I'm sorry, by 11. And then it is scored. I'm not sure if you can see the score mark, but I've scored it in at the 5.5 point. Okay, that's halfway through. Let me tell you that if you try to fold cardstock you cut from this direction, you try to fold it without a score mark, you're going to get some creases on this line. This is against the grain. So if you don't break down the fibers, you're going to end up with an edge that's not as pretty. So, but because I did that scoring, it came out nice and smooth, and I'm real happy. So, okay, next, I'm going to pull out, I've joined this together with Fairy Vanilla, and I'm going to pull out our sneak peek. This will be coming live tomorrow. There are a whole slew of products that are coming out that are online exclusives. That means they aren't in a catalog. They will not be in a catalog. They are simply online exclusives. Now, if you go to my shop and hit shop now, and they're in their list, you can pull down the menu that has all the categories, and there is a specific section called online exclusives. So you can look at those products all by themselves, not mixed in with all the rest. Makes it easy. But this is a designer paper that we'll be using for our project today, and I am just so thrilled to get to show this to you. Okay, so it's called One Horse Open Sleigh. And now we're not going to be using for our project, we're going to be using this pretty red, and I'm having trouble getting it out. Oops, that's not the red. Let's see, I think it's going the other way. So let me get my red out that we'll be using for our project. Huh. I keep passing it. It's just funny. Oh, right when you're on the spot to get it is when it's the hardest to get. Okay, so let me start showing you the paper because it'll come out then. So we have snow scenes. Aren't they gorgeous? And on the back we have a base color, a coordinating color. And this is a 6x6 pack, 48 sheets. Yeah, I think so. Yep, 48 sheets. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing out of the wrapper because it'll just take too long otherwise. And let me get all my little stray pieces out of the way. Okay, here's the piece we're going to be using. So I'm going to pull that out. That's going to be what we set aside. Now on the back of that is another one of those beautiful scenes. Big trees in the background. Love it, love it, love it. Let's see if I can find some more of the different patterns easily. Oh, this is gorgeous. Look at that. And again, that has another plain on the back, but this looks like, you know, just a open bare field. This, lots of tall trees that you're just seeing the base of. And this one, oh, look at that. It looks like almost like a layer of a snowstorm in the woods. This is some shaded spruce. And look at that. Oh, that is stunning. Okay, now this has to be one of my favorite pieces out of this whole pack. And look at how darling that is. And on the back, we have a nice coordinating piece that makes it easy to, there we go, easy to coordinate with some of the other papers. And look at that perspective. Isn't that amazing? Oh, they did a really good job with this. Okay, next is that piece. And lots of sky in that one. I love having sky because there's just so many things you can put in it. And then this has a nice wood grain texture to it. Look, here's another piece that's just gorgeous. And on the back of that, you have this with our Night of Navy coordinating colors. Here's a nice one with crumb cake and, oh, look at that sky. Isn't that beautiful? Uh-oh, my cats are having a fight. I hope that didn't carry. This looks like a fox running. I'm not sure what from. And, oh, isn't that a gorgeous wood grain? And then our last piece was the first one I showed you. And that. So, this is just, talk about being able to kick off Christmas in July with a bang. This is just perfect. And I hope you love it as much as I do, because I am going to be thinking of all kinds of ways to use those scenic backgrounds especially. So let's go ahead and set that aside. So again, like I said, I'm going to be using the dies that go with this stamp set for this card. So I want to show you that this piece, that 6x6 piece, we're going to cut it down to, let's see, 5 by 3 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that 1 inch off, and then 3 3/4. Now the other pieces I have already cut. I just wanted to show you what this piece was going to look like. Okay, and I have a small piece of Very Vanilla that will go between the card front and this designer paper. As you can see, it gives it a little background to it. Nice, bright, and cheery. I really like that. So let me go ahead and put this back. Take out my little die cut machine. Now this one, I'm actually going to need the bigger machine for this one because this piece of paper will not go through the tiny one. So this is the only part though that I actually want to make sure you see how it's done, because I'm going to be using, for some reason my screen isn't whole, I'm going to be using this die. Okay, you see there's lots of little tiny holes there, and so I'm going to take this die and run it through my Big Shot to give that front piece a really nice, now I'm going to need to make sure I've centered it just right. And if you need to keep it still because your surface is a little wobbly, or your plates are a little dinged up, you know, go ahead and tape it on there. I'm not going to need to do that right now because mine is nice and steady. So I'm going to go ahead and, oops, flip that around and stagger my plates so that it runs through nice and smooth. And as you can tell, this one is the boss. It doesn't have any issues, doesn't do any squeaking or complaining. My little one is, because she's just way overused. Okay, so I'm setting that back there on the floor so it's out of the way. And you're going to see lots of teeny tiny dots come out. And it might take you a second to kind of ping at them and get them all out of there. But like I said, unlike the Big Shot that we used to have, we never have to worry about everything not cutting. It cuts right through all of it and gives us, you know, very few that we have to kind of labor over to get them out. So I'm going to put those there. Now this, I like to just kind of slam it. I'm not too worried about getting little teeny tiny pieces of paper on the floor because, you know, they just go in the vacuum. But I am going to clean off this slate and get all my little pieces off of there before I use it again. This way there's no debris raising parts of the die or the piece of paper that I'm cutting up unevenly, you know. Okay, so those two are done. Let me get this little piece of whatnot out of the way. And before I would cut with this again, I'm going to clean it out. Okay, so this is the front of my card, part of it. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this side with my glue. Kind of try to get to the edge a little bit with a nice little fine stream. When it's not brand new, like mine is, it tends to come out only in a fine stream. So I was kind of surprised that it got a little bit, you know, sassy there. And okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lay this so that there's an even rim all the way around. And give it a nice framing edge, matting edge. Now I'm going to have to pick it up because I set that one side down a little bit quick. Okay, that looks better. Very nice. Okay, and if you have, you know, you want to get it real firm, turn it over. This way you don't have any glue popping out at you and getting your hands. Okay, so there is, isn't that beautiful? Just the way that it pops right there. Oh, I just love it. Love it. Okay, so now I'm going to dump out the rest of my pieces and try not to lose them like I did the other one. There we go. Okay. So next I'm going to be stamping on that piece, and I'm actually going to be writing on that piece, so I'm going to put that one away. But I'm going to be stamping on this piece with my real red and using from the Brightest Glow that All is Bright. All is merry and bright. Beautiful little stamp. And the cling stamps, boy, if you haven't tried these, I'm not sure exactly when they came out, because I've been staying with Stampin' Up! When they made the transition. So I just don't remember when it happened. But the other cling, what are they called? Clear mount stamps would not stick like this to our blocks. So it is such a pleasure to stamp with these now that you have that certainty that it's going to stay on after you ink it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my glasses on, and hopefully my head's not in the camera. There we go. All is bright. Okay, beautiful. Next, we're going to go ahead and take some, see, dimensionals. Here they are. And add that to the card. There we go. Whoops. Rose decided to head back into the scene. Oh, and that one too. Okay, so that you can center right in the middle of this beautiful piece that we die cut. And look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? What a nice, beautiful card. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. I'm not going to put any dimensionals in this direction because I have some more die cutting to do. I keep getting my little my little adhesive pieces just keep wanting to jump in this camera scene. Here we go. Okay, so this is my Stampin' Seal Plus. I like it for the fronts of cards. I do not like it when cards fall apart after so much handling and looking at them. So I try to use that as much as possible, because it's really super sturdy and it will take care of, keeping boxes together. And if you make your own bags, I make tons of little gift bags. One of my favorites. And this is just such a great adhesive for that. Now next, I've got a piece that fits on the inside. Maybe I might have to cut it down. Yep, because I didn't cut down the side where I got the top and bottom measurement just right, but I did not cut off on the side. Yep, it's still 4 1/4. And so there, I took off that little 1/4 inch, and now everything is going to be happy. Okay, so on this one, I am definitely going to put a beautiful greeting on the inside because it's just striking with this real red. So the next greeting I'm going to use says, "May the peace of the season light your world, and may your new year be the brightest." And I just really enjoy the sentiments they have in this set. Okay, so this is going to be using the D size block, and let me take my little circle off of my stamp. There we go. Okay, I'm going to ink it up in my real red on my Very Vanilla. And I'm going to put this right at the very top. Now I'm not 100% sure I got it straight as I would like it. Nope. Kind of glad there's two sides to our cardstock. Makes it so much better when I have to make an adjustment for crookedness. There we go. Okay, that's better. Now I'm going to take the die in here that is a snow wisp. Oh my gosh, isn't this gorgeous? And we're gonna die cut that right underneath it. Again, we have to use the bigger one machine because the other one's just too narrow, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, so I'm going to set my big Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and up here and stagger my plates. And I don't know if you noticed, but there is a big number 3 plate on the bottom. I'll show it to you. Number 3 plate. And then if you're doing die cutting, this number 2 plate is necessary. If you're doing dry embossing though, you don't need this one. So I just wanted to show you that there's 2 white ones for the larger machine. But again, it's set up to be precise on the amount of pressure. So you never have to put together another set of shims. You never have to cut out some cardstock pieces and layer them in there to make it go. Okay, here is this beautiful piece. Go ahead and stagger my plates. And voila, here it comes, nice and easy. Must have been on something. Not surprised, because my desk is full of stuff. Okay, I'm just going to reverse it out of there. There we go. And I'd love to show you how pretty that is. Okay, so I'm going to unmake my sandwich. And then set that there. Got some dots. Just need to get them off my plate. And move these. I'm having a difficult time because I have new nails put on my old nails. I have a fingernail that constantly splits down the middle here below the quick. And so I found somebody that can do fiberglass. And it's been a very big help on keeping that nail together. So, but they make it very hard to pick things up. Okay, so isn't that gorgeous? That's going to go on the inside of our card. Now let's take a look at that. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so let me go ahead and take this little dot off of there. Add some adhesive. Nice thin line. Okay. Now this doesn't get as much handling, so I'm not as worried about that. And the liquid glue is just as good as the really strong adhesive that I used on the card front. It's just sometimes I just feel like doing dry adhesive. I don't know. My moods change as I'm card making. Okay. So now let's go ahead and get that. Oh, that looks just gorgeous. Okay. So that is our card. Now, with Christmas in July, I'm just not happy to just make a card and be done with it. I also wanted to make a tag that went with that. It's just a really cute set, and I put tags on my bags all the time. Really love doing that. So this is going to require a few more rounds in the machine, but I think you'll think it's worth it. And when you get the make and take packet, this all of this will be die cut for you as well. Now I wanted to show you that the tags come from a die set called tailor-made tags. And as you can see in this die set, there's the kind that are like just, you know, angled at the top, and then there's a little fancier type of tag. Both tags have a hole cut in the tag itself, and they both come with these this die to cut some more that would go around the hole just to make it a little stronger. If you're tying your tag to your bag, you know, you don't want it to rip. So that's kind of a nice little bonus that we got in that stamp set, or in that die set. And these are called tailor-made tags. They don't go with any stamp set. They go with every stamp set. So I love it. Okay, so I cut out one in red and one in vanilla. So let's take and do our stamping on the vanilla. We're going to use the words Merry Christmas. I have it on a I already have it on a block somewhere, because that one just gave me a big argument about wanting to come onto the block. So I thought I have it on the block. Perhaps not, but let's see. Nope, it's not in here, so it must be on the block, and I must have moved the block, which is silly me. It was where it was supposed to be. And then I got cleaning and organizing and went ahead and moved it. Okay, so I apologize. That was not a very careful thing for me to do, but I'm not seeing it anywhere. Oh dear. I just am surprising myself. Okay, these are the blocks I have out, and none of them are my Merry Christmas. Well, I guess that I won't be showing you exactly how I made this, but because I'm just not seeing my stamp for it. You know, that's like what my floor does when I drop something. It like eats it. I never know what happened. And I find it days later where I would never have looked. Okay, so on this one, on the tag, I'm going to talk you through it just because I can't stamp it. But we do take, on the first part, we take both tags and we put them together once we're done with our stamping and our die cutting. Now I used the tiny snowflakes, so you could see that red peeking up there. And these are called, let me not try to blow that. They're brushed metallic adhesive backed dots, and they are in our catalog. They have three colors: gold, copper, and bronze. So I use the gold ones here. A little bit of gold ribbon with this Simply Elegant trim. That's on the online exclusive. You won't find this Simply Elegant trim in the catalog. This is in the catalog, however, but this is not. It's online exclusive. And so these beautiful tags work together. And like I said, we die cut those little snowmen out. And this little piece, as you can see, is reinforcing my vanilla side. Now on the other side, we took the big snowflake and die cut that, and then that extra tag. I don't have a current to and from stamp, but I just wrote it with my real red marker, to and from. So This way it just looks really nice on the back of my tag. And then this you can make your strings as long as short as you want. So if you want to tie it on a bag, definitely leave them longer and you can do that. Um, but I like the fact that it's two-sided. It has those peekaboo holes, real pretty. And I wish I could have showed you how to make it, and that like I said, my stamp's going to come back when I don't need it. But it's going to hide from me now. Okay, so next, do we have anybody that's coming on to the live? Anybody want to leave a comment and let me know that you're here with me now? I would love to know that. Um, Again, there's been no giving away of the prizes, and I'm so excited to give you guys some really cute little prizes. And should I show you? Cancel that. Something's telling me to leave. No, I don't want to close this out. Okay, so I've wiped those down. I'm going to go ahead and set this so that when I do find the Merry Christmas, I can finish that card. I will do a drawing at the end for somebody to win all the cards that I made tonight. And if you would like to be in that drawing, just let me know by leaving a comment, even if it's on the replay, it counts. Leave me a comment or ask me a question or share my video with somebody else that you think would really enjoy it. Um, any way you know that you can participate will get you in that drawing to win all the things that I made tonight. So now I do want to talk a little bit about um, the online exclusives. Not because I didn't talk about them already, but what I wanted to tell you is that that started maybe about back in January, I think. And the online exclusives have some really, really cool products that you may not have seen if you're just looking at the catalog. So when you go, even if you want to go tonight before they load the new stuff, and just check out all the different things that are on there for that are nowhere in the catalog. There are really cute stamp sets, and there's this one border die set that I just adore, and several different things that I would have thought, oh man, I love that. So, and I'll try to show you projects with some of the online exclusives that I have purchased over the last little bit. Not very much. There's just certain things that I really enjoy. Let's see if we can turn over to the other transition. There we go. Okay, so there's just some things that I really enjoy that I think the other people that I know that stamp like me would, really get a kick out of. So I definitely want to make sure that I give you a peek at those things. I do want to transition now over to our mystery stamping. And if you're not on here live, it's okay. You can still do it on your own on the replay. Excuse me. It's hard for me when I'm not really talking to a live person. I get a little tired of hearing me talk. I'd love to have, one of you guys just be able to pop on here while I'm on here and keep me awake. Um, so let me talk to you a little bit about our mystery stamping. I designed these projects from samples that I've seen before, and I just use current product with them. I try to keep them simple. Um, but today's project will need a punch, or else, if you want to trace and mat like a circle and then a bigger circle for your saying, it's just for your sentiment. So I just would like you to make sure that you have something handy to do that with. If you don't have any punches, you don't have any dies or die cut machines, that's okay. Use what you have. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is that in our mystery stamping, I'm also going to be spinning the prize wheel. Hmm, excuse me. Spinning the prize wheel for people to win um, with mystery stamping project for me on this video. So when the video is all done and you've completed your mystery stamp project, just snap a photo of it and go ahead and send it to our either make a post of your own on the webpage or go ahead and put it on the post for this video, because I'd really love to see what you make. Okay, so I'm going to change the camera now and we're going to do our mystery stamping. Okay, so in the mystery stamp, I told you we were going to need a piece of cardstock. You could pick any color you want. I go with colors that are in the designer paper that I am using. So that's what I went with. So Old Olive is one of the colors, and I want to show you the pack of paper this stuff is coming from. This pack of paper is like huge. Okay, it's 12 by 12 and it's 48 sheets. It's a lot of paper. This is called the Kind of Eclectic, Delightfully Eclectic. And because my eyes, I'm always transitioning from my glasses to from them on and off, I wrote real big all the colors that are in this pack of paper. And I love that it's including one of our new colors, Bubble Bath. There's another green in here, but I like the Old Olive. There's the Garden Green, Petal Pink, and then there's also Cajun Craze. So this pad of paper just has a lot of wildly different piecey parts that are, I don't know if you can see them up close and personal, but we've got some flowers, we've got some pretzels, we've got, yeah, here's the pretzels. Look at that, isn't that cute? And then let me go the other side because, you know, they're all two-sided. Here we have stripes and lemons, ledger paper, hearts, more stripes. This is the kind I'll be using today, this pretty flower. And these fun black and white pieces. There's a little bit of the misty moonlight, and I'm not sure. That looks like another kind of ledgery thing. There's also, I wanted to show you that there's alphabets in here. Like, who does that? Okay, it must be this side. And aren't these little swans just so unusual and sweet? Here's the alphabet pieces. So you can, you know, cut those apart to form words and add accent pieces. Got some beautiful floral prints. Strawberries, you know, just kind of out there. Cotton balls. Um, and then there's, you know, just some blue dots and stripes and, like I said, pretzels. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that this pack is a huge value. And it's like 48 sheets. It's like 4 packs of designer paper, and it's $30. So you get, it's like getting a pack for free. So okay, I'm using Old Olive again. I made this at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I have a nice score line there. I try to make sure that I break those fibers there so I don't have any of that cracking along that edge. And then I have some Whisper White, not Whisper White, basic white cardstock for um, the inside part. And then I've already cut my pieces of designer paper, and I'm going to tell you that I did it precise. If you don't want to be that precise, that is a-okay. You can cut it at 2 inches and just squeeze them together a little more. But I did my, or 1.5 inches wide. I did 1 7/16 just to be precise. But like I said, that really doesn't matter. Okay, so I have my 3 pieces of designer series paper that I cut. I have my neutral cardstock that I cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And these are actually scraps. Cajun Craze is one of the colors that's in the center of my flower. And then here's a scrap of my neutral for me to stamp my sentiment on. But I'm going to have you do something really fun to the front of your base card. And if you don't have a paper trimmer like this one, don't sweat it. You can use a ruler and a pair of scissors. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the front of our cardstock by cutting from this middle line all the way to the end at 2 inches. Now you want the side that you are cutting to be down at this end at the bottom. Let me see if I can zoom out just a little bit so that you can see that all the way. Let me see. Okay, so you want from this part down is where you're cutting. So you set your line at 2 inches, and then I go up and I go as close to this as I can get without going over. Okay, take it out. And so you see you have 2 pieces. Well, we're going to cut off this big piece. The smaller piece is going to stay. Okay, so I'm going to take my snips and just go all the way up to that line because I couldn't see it right from there. And I want to make sure I get it right on the dot and not go over. Okay, and then on that crease, on that fold, I'm going to cut the top piece or the bigger piece off. There we go. I'm going to trim it a little more because I was not looking at it straight when I'm trying to show you in the camera. I'm looking at it at an angle. There we go. Cut a little more off just so that we don't have any of that piece that is creased visible on our project. So I'm just going to cut that. I'd rather cut less and do it a couple of times than cut too much, because then you can't fix it. So I'm just going to cut this corner out, and let's see. Sorry, it didn't take me nearly like this much effort to do the first one. Okay, so as you can see, you've got this piece and this piece. Those are the base of your card. And I think I went a little too far over, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this overlap off I went a little too far over with my score line, but that happens. Okay, so next, I can put that away. I'm going to take the basic white piece, and on the top part, I'm going to spread out my little pretties on designer paper. So I'm going to put them down, and then I'm going to scoot them around so that there's about a 1/4 inch between each one, because that's how I did it. That's how I set it up, was that each piece had about a 1/4 inch between it. and about a 1/4 inch between that and the edge. Yeah, I think that looks about right. That look about right to you? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my dry adhesive and I'm going to pick them up one at a time and put some of the dry adhesive, the Stampin' Seal Plus, on the back. Just one little strip, because this stuff is powerful. It'll hold it. And then try to set it up as evenly as I can. Okay, that one looks pretty good. Here we go. One more piece. And I would love to see some of the ideas you guys came up with. And so I hope that somebody will post what they did for their mystery stamping project. That will be very exciting to see. Okay. This video, actually, these videos that are on my Facebook group page won't be able to stay up forever, but I'm going to be transferring them over to my YouTube video, my YouTube page. And so when I do that, they'll be available then all the time. So you can come back and watch them as many times as you want. If you're doing a project with Make and Take Packet, you know, you don't have to rush it. You can come anytime. So, okay. That is perfect for that. So I'm going to go ahead and use my dry adhesive and go ahead and Stampin' Seal Plus this and center it on my old olive background piece. There we go. Okay. Next, I wanted to do some stamping. Now this set that I'm using, I'm actually using two. One is called Versatile Very Best Occasions. I'm sorry, not Versatile Occasions. So that's going to be the second set, but I wanted to decorate with some of the flowers. So the first thing I picked out was from Two Tone Flora. I picked out a really nice one of these kinds of flowers, and I wanted its outline too. This is one of the dies that comes with the Two Tone Flora bundle, and that's a lot of fun to use as a whole page accent that you build a card on top of. So I wanted to have that visual there so that it would keep inspiring me. So this is the fill piece, and I want to make sure I have it straight according to, because they're both lined up nice and straight for us. Let's see. Yep, I think it's that way. So I'm going to put it on my block because the other piece that actually is a outline piece will stamp the same direction. Now you can also cut these out with these dies, and like I said, there's a die behind this one that cuts this whole scene out, but we're not going to be using those today. So what I chose were two of the colors in the flowers. I've got Bubble Bath and Cajun Craze. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp with Bubble Bath. Try to see, make sure, well, whichever direction I hold it, I'll make sure to line it up with the Cajun Craze. And I just want to put it right here. Real cute little flower. Nice. Oh, Bubble Bath is that real soft, pretty pink. Haven't had one quite this color that I can remember. And then next, I'm going to take my Cajun Craze And this is going to be the outline. Now, I'm going to have to bring it a little closer to me so that I can see it exactly. And of course, I better put my glasses on because exact stuff is a little more precise. What I like is that the holes are lined up the way that they are on here, so it makes it easy to spot which direction to put it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ink this up so it's nice and obvious. And yep, I got it lined up the right way. Here we go. Perfect. Nice. And look at the vibrant, opposing colors, contrast. That's what I meant. That it brings out in that. I just love it. Okay, so next I'm going to be pulling out my old olive. And that we're going to use for our sentiment. Now on the scrap, I'm going to be using the sentiment from Very Best Occasions. And I really, really like where it says, "You are the best. You're the best ever." There are so many people that do so many kind things in my life that I can never have enough thank you cards. Not in a million years. So I'm going to take that, and then the other one that is just adorable. Love you, mean it. What a cute, I love it. When I have something sweet that I can give to someone who is, doing such nice things, people that that love the Lord, they just give so much of themselves. And so first of all, I'm going to stamp on scrap my "You're the Best Ever." Here we go. Love it. Okay. And then this will go on the inside of my card, right here at the bottom. Love you, mean it. Nice. Okay. I love the font. It's just such a pretty color. So I mentioned before that I was going to be using a punch for this project, and it's called the Double Oval Punch, because I can cut from here the scalloped oval, and from here my sentiment, and that will go really nicely together right on the front. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these together with my dry adhesive and put them, kind of mat them together like this. And I'd like to attach them with some dimensionals to pop them up a little. And I found them. Unlike my stamp, which I will be searching the whole place here as soon as we are done, so I can make sure I find that little booger. Punish it accordingly. Okay, here's, let's put this on the front. Nope, that paste did not come off. There we go. And I'm not going to center this. I'm going to put this closer to this edge, and I'll show you why. Do you remember that I told you to bring a piece of ribbon? Well, I have this beautiful ribbon, and this is bubble bath sheer ribbon. It actually comes in a 3-pack. So there's lemon lolly, there's azure afternoon, and bubble bath all together. Gorgeous, gorgeous ribbon. Real nice. I love the shimmer on the outside of it and on the edging. Just really, really pretty. So I'm going to take and attach to this end a really pretty bow. Now, you can do with it whatever you want. If you want to do a knot, you can do that. If you want to do, you know, just glue it on or do it in 2 steps, whatever you like. I wanted to make a really pretty bow. So I'm going to make this nice and tight. Now my bow may be upside down, which it was on the last one, and then turn it over, which was silly, but you know, sometimes I'm a little directionally challenged. I don't know about you, but I love making bows though, and so what I lack in directional challenge, I make up for in being able to really enjoy the detail of creating bows. Okay, so I'm not getting this under there very well, which usually takes me a minute, and it's probably because I have my glasses on. See, I have to take them on and off and on and off because some things are just wrong if I have my glasses on, depending on how far away it is from me. So it's quite an endeavor to go through a project without, you know, I should just get a set of bifocals, is what I should do, because my doctor wants me to, but, you know, I hate granny glasses. And I had them at one point and didn't really like them, so. Let's pull this out a little bit, this out a lot of bit. And tighten it up. It just takes a couple of pulls to get it nice and tight and pretty, just the way I want it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's trim this. Maybe let's go this way since I really don't want to take much off. I just want to make sure it's not fraying. And there we go. And then if you want, like, I'm going to slide mine down a little bit because it's not glued anywhere, so I can just move the bow down this way. Not quite that much. There we go. So it's nicely centered. And there we go. You're the best. I may take this off since I'm just a little too far over. Let me see if I can. I guess we're just going to leave that one where it was. My sample, it's a little closer to my ribbon, but I can always bring the ribbon a little closer. Every time you make something, when you have an idea in mind, it's great to be willing to flex when a mistake happens, or it gives you a reason to embellish and kind of go off road, whatever you were thinking, and add something different to it. So that's what I like to do. So this was my mystery stamping project for today. I thought you might like having this little swing open door. I don't know what this is called. If there is a name for it, definitely share it with me, because it is a type of fun fold card that I just think is cute and sweet. And you know, if you use different papers and embellishments here, you can make this totally a guy card too. So, you know, I went real soft and frilly and feminine because we had just done a whole month of guy cards. So I'm in the mood for flowers and bows. But anyways, well, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. Even if you're not here live, I would love to know that you got to see the replay and what you thought of it, where you're from, what type of projects you enjoy. Pepper me with questions and ideas because I really would like to make this an enjoyable time to be able to craft with you and meet a need for you as well. So definitely let me know what you think, and please don't hesitate to add your artwork to this video's post because I'd like to see how your mystery stamping turned out. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to put in the description on this video the link to my website so that all those great specials I told you about, you'll be able to get to see them hot off the press first thing in the morning. All you have to do is click on that link. Well, thank you again so much for coming, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.